Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Wind-Up with me, Nicola Green. My guest today is Emma Kirke, a clinical nutritionist and a blogger. Welcome, Emma.
Hi.
Okay, so can you just tell us how you got into this kind of work?
I was a doctor of osteomyology from university, self-employed, and then I had a car accident and it gave me some spine and nerve damage. And what that meant was I had problems with chronic pain and movement. So I had to do a little bit of tweaking to my own diet because I ran out of things from the NHS. They couldn't do an operation on me and they said it was obviously inoperable, so I had to look elsewhere. So I became very interested in the clinical nutrition side, and fortunately for me, I'd kind of done my own research and managed to get myself onto a situation where I had no medication, which was great, from 25 a day down to none. But then I was diagnosed with breast cancer in October 2014. And that was the point where I decided to change it from an interest of mine to something that I was trying to help other people with. Because there were foods that I wanted to be able to eat that you couldn't get because obviously the gluten and the dairy and the sugar were there in something that had been produced already. So I tried to translate recipes into something that people could actually have and incorporate it into a diet where they maybe had allergies or they were trying to avoid certain products because it had an effect on their bodies. So that's how I ended up starting.
Wow, so now you adapt recipes then for people. So what kind of things do you cook with?
Well, I try to keep everything local if I can, but if I can't, I like to take whole foods and make. I don't use processed. It's very difficult to find a product that doesn't have things you're trying to avoid in something that's already been pre-made. So I try to use things that are whole and natural and organic as far as I can, to be fair. But I might take like a bread recipe and try and design a bread that's easy to make, that doesn't have all the other components in, that people can make themselves at home really easily, because it's about speed and ease as well. People don't want to spend a lot of time faffing.
And most of the foods that are healthy or good for you do cost quite a lot of money, don't they? So
it depends where you go. If you shop around, you can get them a bit cheaper. I use a company obviously there are other companies out there, but I use a company called Grape Tree Foods, and there's one at Castleford actually, and they're great. They have really good quality foods. Amaranth, you can get banana flour, you can get your raw cacao nibs, and they're because they're not in fancy packaging, and it's all done. It keeps costs down, so that's actually really useful. But shopping around does help.
Okay.
And Amazon, you can get stuff from there.
So is exercise important, and did that help in your recovery as well?
Not initially, because I had so much pain I couldn't exercise, but definitely with the breast cancer. It was a little bit more of a military style experience for me, because I planned my diet and I planned my exercise program, and what I wanted to do was make my operation as easy as I could for myself. It was a 7.5 hour op under general anaesthetic. It's a long time to be under. So I really worked on my cardiac fitness pre-op, and then obviously post-op I had to modify and take things a little bit slower. But it definitely helped with my recovery mentally, because I felt like I was helping myself, but also physically I think it meant that I could get back to work a lot quicker. So yeah, it wasn't something that was given to me as part of my program in the hospital, and I think that's possibly lacking in the NHS. You can have a really massive effect on how you go through an operation or your recovery from an operation by tweaking your diet and your exercise routine.
In what way?
Well, a lot of the women that I was speaking to that have been diagnosed with breast cancer weren't given any advice to do any exercise at all. And it's actually, there's a lot of facts and there's a lot of research being done to show that your recovery from that operation is actually, increased in speed if you are doing just gentle exercise like going on a bike. Just get the fluids moving in your body. Doing a little bit of strength work, because obviously you've had tissues that have been affected, your muscles have been affected. So a little bit of strength work, all helps.
Right, so tweaking your diet and exercise.
Tweaking your diet,
really
there's
important.
foods that you can take out that can irritate and stop the body from healing, and then there are foods you can put in that are going to help you to heal a bit faster. Things high vitamin C, and obviously omega-3, 6 and 9, so salmon and black rice, that kind of thing. They'll help your body to repair. If you can remove things that it doesn't like, then it's going to make it easier for it to do what it's supposed to do, which is repair.
Okay, and you've seen that yourself with working with people then?
Yeah, I tried it on myself. I like to experiment on myself first, because I won't give somebody something to do that I haven't tried on me. And yeah, I've used it with a number of people, yeah, for various different operations. Yeah.
So people out there now, our viewers, that may be ill or recovering, or even just want to change the diet and exercise, what advice would you give those people?
Start small goals. Don't try and change everything at once, because that can be overwhelming. And make little things. If you want to cut out sugar, start with just cutting out sugar and do the processed sugars first. If you want to take out gluten out of your diet, start by taking maybe bread out and switch your pasta for one that's made from rice. So you can still have, if you want pasta bolognese, you can still have it, but you're switching the product that you're using. So making small changes. And same with the exercise, incorporate a little bit into your daily routine. If you're brushing your teeth, stand on one leg while you brush your teeth, swap to the other leg, because that's going to help you with your balance, it's going to help your muscles get stronger, it's going to help your reflexes, and you can incorporate that while you're doing it. Take the stairs, standing up and sitting down on a normal chair. That's something that people really struggle with, especially as they get older. That as you might see with older generation, they struggle to get in and out of the chair, and it's something that they don't do on and off a toilet. It's a very simple thing, but that mechanism is important to perfect almost. So it's just practicing things like that.
So if there's one food or one exercise that people could do, what would you say?
I'm not sure about one exercise. Just maybe go for a walk.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Something nice and gentle, but it gets the heart rate going a little bit, and most people can make some distance with a walk. And if I was going to cut a food out, I probably would suggest processed sugar. It does seem to be the thing that has the most effect when I'm seeing patients, in terms of reducing pain levels and increasing how the body can respond to a repair mechanism. So that was probably the two things. Yeah. Do
you find with the people that you work with, stress is a big issue?
Absolutely, yeah. In all forms, could be from the job, or just from having an injury. That's very stressful. Any kind of disease condition can be stressful, could be family problems. There's all sorts of different variables, but it definitely has an impact. It changes how your body's working. If you have a normal amount of stress, that's fine. A slight elevation in that, and then everything's in speed up, so your blood pressure goes up, and the adrenaline in your body goes up, and then that becomes normal. So unless that comes back down again, your body resets itself, and then it just becomes a cycle.
So really good advice there, Emma. Thank you very much for coming in today.
You're welcome.
So we'd like to thank Emma Kirke for coming in today, and that's all for this week. Bye for now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show.